Good evening, everyone. So today I wanted to talk about my self-analysis of meditation. What I will be discussing is hormones in relation to thoughts and perception. But what I will be touching on will sound religious, but I can assure you that this is completely replicable and scientific. This is for educational and wellness purposes only, and if not interested, you don't need to be. So any further ado, this is my personal analysis as to why meditation works. So hormones, what are they? So hormone is any member of class of signaling molecules produced by glands in a multicellular organism that are transported by the circulatory system to target distant organs to regulate physiology and behavior. Or in other words, anything you do, including thoughts itself, affects its fluctuation. For example, excessive cortisol impairs memory, creating memory gaps. Meaning, if you have a traumatic event in your life, it may be difficult to pick up on that memory because of excessive cortisol secretion. An intense rush to situation responds by secreting adrenaline. And what adrenaline does causes eye dilation. And this fun fact as well, nose breathing significantly decreases blood pressure and adrenaline and cortisol levels as compared to breathing through your mouth. So since I've told you this, anything you're feeling from meditation, for example, has concrete evidence as to why you feel it. Common symptoms from my meditation are as followed. Weightlessness, hallucinations, thoughts without having to think, goes with number 2, increased perception of time, and etc. Noticing that hormones are the cause of this, melatonin being an interesting one, I thought of an interesting equation, that being sleep, melatonin secretion, plus decreased stress hormones equals light deprivation times sensory or stimuli deprivation. So when I was able to replicate it, I jotted a few more points down. That being the hallucinations which occur when you meditate is due to the secretion of melatonin. Thoughts which are controlled electrical stimuli have a hand-in-hand relationship with stress hormone, epinephrine, or adrenaline. I apologize if I pronunciate that wrong. Stressful thoughts produce stress hormone cortisol, decrease by deep in and out breathing, and last but not least, if I lay down, I'll fall asleep. Of course there's more, but I'm pretty sure they're just not coming to mind. No pun intended. So, after coming up with this, I tried and disprove it. So I developed a theory. That theory being, stress hormones are secreted by thought and senses. When trying to meditate, one must decrease stress hormones in order to replicate symptoms of Qigong meditation. The reason as to why I kept light and general stimuli separated is due to the indirect relationship light has with hormones. So even though hormones are secreted by stimuli that can be decreased by habituation, light affects hormones in a different manner. So for the pineal cell, which secretes this melatonin, blue increases cortisol levels, whereas red decreases cortisol levels, meaning blue suppresses melatonin, whereas red does the opposite. And before I give you the instructions or the directions into actually meditating, I'll read you this quote from Harvard. So we do know that exposure to light suppresses the secretion of melatonin, a hormone that influences circadian rhythms, and there's some experimental evidence, it's very preliminary, that lower melatonin levels might explain the association with cancer. The blue light suppressed melatonin for about twice as long as the green light and shifted circadian rhythms by twice as much. So, last but not least, the directions to meditation. There's many types of meditation, but the symptoms I got is directly from my directions. So, number 1, You want to sit cross-legged upright in a comfy, quiet location where it's dark. Preferably somewhere exposed to red light or no light. Like what I said before, different frequency lights agitate your pineal cells differently. And a tip for beginners who can't really sit cross-legged upright, place your back against the wall. It'll help keep you upright. Number 2, slowly and with attention, inhale and exhale deep through your nose. Inhaling through your nose decreases CO2 more efficiently as your mouth, as well as increased brain efficiency, decreased heart rate, decreased adrenaline, increased oxidized blood, and etc. And last but not least, repeat. What occurs is you naturally decrease your stress hormones, making you feel weightless. When this occurs, serotonin and dopamine is secreted with as well melatonin due to non-aggravated pineal cells. Natural hallucinations which resemble dreams occur, which show similar properties as to lucid dreaming. So, last but not least, take this with a grain of salt. If you're able to replicate similar symptoms of deep meditation, I advise you to pay attention to your hormones and general health. Reason: hormones can either make or break you, depending on the concentration, type, and exposure. I personally started to develop psychotic symptoms from meditation, but was able to reverse it through meditation. But that's a whole nother video for another time. Even though meditation can be practiced from a religious/philosophical standpoint, none are necessary for the addressed symptoms. The positive effects from meditation comes directly from your experience. The reason is due to the fluctuations of your hormones. Thank you for listening, fellas, and meditate safely.